Well, the world has still gone nutty, buddy, even downright cruddy, buddy. Wish I missed the past, buddy, but there's still Buddycast. No, don't be naughty, go meet it, buddy, here on Buddycast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the founder and host of Buddycast, Nick Sorensen.
Welcome, one and all, to another episode of everybody's favorite show, Buddycast. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen, and joining me today is a special buddy. If you're in the Erie, Pennsylvania area and you need a car, you have to see this guy. My buddy, Patrick. How you doing, Patrick?
Good. How you doing, Nick?
Good. For those of you who don't know, Patrick is a salesman at Auto Express Mazda, which brings up my first question, Patrick. What got you interested in sales in the first place?
Okay, so let's go back a few years. In my early 20s, I started at Journeys out in the mall. And I've never done sales before, but I've always been a people person. So always able to talk to everybody, have conversations. I was the kid in high school that sat on everybody's lunch table and I would, flip through everybody. So I'd go to the emos and the jocks and, whatever, the band nerds and all that. So I was definitely very familiar with everybody. So when I first started at Journeys, it came incredibly easy for me and I didn't realize it to start with. I remember, it was a part-time job during the holidays. I think I was working 2 days a week or something stupid like that. And I remember my manager, the first couple of weeks in, she goes, "Oh yeah, you're my golden child." I'm like, what does that even mean? And she's like, yeah, it's just like, I always want to put you on the schedule and, just you do super well with the customers and things like that. And again, it just came so easy to me that I didn't realize it. So then I kind of carried on that, drive and that motivation and continue to do it. And I've always kind of said, it's the only thing I'm good at. I never went to college. I actually didn't even finish high school. I ended up getting my GED. So schooling was never really a strong suit for mine, but people were. So I kind of, like I said, followed through with that.
Mm-hmm. It was a matter of people smart versus book smart, Some people
Absolutely.
are book smart and could tell you every fact about this thing and everything they know. And some people just know how to read people and know, hey, this is what you need. This is what I can offer you.
Absolutely.
So that brings up another point. Being a salesman kind of get a bad rap nowadays. You and me were talking off air about it a little bit. Salesmen can be seen, especially, I hate to say it, car salesmen,
Sure.
What are your thoughts
absolutely.
on that? What are your views?
What I can tell you is the dealership that I work at Auto Express Mazda, we're not those type of people. There is a stigma, like you said, especially about car salesmen, that I'm out to get you, that I'm out to make a buck, that and of course I am, that's my job, right? I have to sell a vehicle to make money.
You got to make a living.
I got to make a living, but I'm not out to hurt anybody. I'm not out to ever put anybody in a bad position. And I'm never about to sell a vehicle that maybe isn't going to fit their needs, but it would fit mine, if that makes sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, really the name of the game is, are you happy? Is the customer happy with their purchase, with their experience? Obviously with the monthly payment, that's a big thing in the car industry. So I'm never out to screw anybody, I guess is the easiest way to put that. And that's, again, goes very true with everybody that I work with at Auto Express. I think Joe Askins, I'm sure you guys have heard him on the radio and TV. And all that. So he's definitely a familiar face in Erie. He does a great job with hiring, all the way up from the top management level, all the way down to, just in the salesman position as well. He hires the right people, good people, highly motivated people. And again, I can't speak for every dealership and every sales position. I mean, there's definitely those experiences out there. We've all had them. I've even had them as well. But again, at Auto Express, we're definitely in the best interest of the customer and what's good for you guys, obviously.
Brilliant. We'll love to hear it. And that brings up the follow-up question. How did you find the position at Mazda? How did you find your position at Auto Express?
So, again, we'll go back a few years here. My dad, back in 1997, actually worked for Mazda. I was 6 years old at the time. He did it basically his entire life, or at least his adult life, until at least I became an adult. And he actually worked at the Mazda that was across the street from where we're at now. So it's actually where the breakfast place used to be.
Nice.
So my dad did it for years, right? He obviously knew a lot of people in the industry. Well, one day I was working at AT&T at the time. I was managing the West 26th Street location, AT&T. And he had sent one of his buddies in. He says, "Hey, this is a buddy of mine. His name's Sean. Can you help him out? I know him from the car industry." And I said, "Sure, no problem." And, easy. So they come in. Sean brought his daughter in. And Sean loves to tell this story too. He probably tells it at least once every few months at the Saturday meetings, how he met me. But he came in. He came in for a phone for himself. But his daughter, there was a new iPhone coming out. I want to say it might have been the iPhone 10 or something like that. Off the display, and it kind of caught her eye. So of course I went over there and just did my thing, started talking about it, all the features, the benefits of the phone, how nice it is compared to what she has now. And Sean ended up buying a phone for her and not buying a phone for himself because of that. And he always jokes about it, like, "I hate you that you did such a good job selling my daughter, and she had to have the phone, and I had to buy it for her, of course." But that's how I met Sean, and he ended up being the GM. I didn't know that going into this, right? So I just thought he was a buddy of my dad's, known each other for a while. And ever since then, Sean had tried to recruit me. Now, it took him probably 2 to 3 years to actually do that. I was definitely comfortable in the job I was at with AT&T. It was a good company to work for at the time. But when it was finally decided to make a move, I was like, "Oh yeah, that Sean guy, he's been bugging me for years to switch over to car sales. So I'll go talk to him and see what's up." So
Nice. Nice. And what's a typical day-to-day like for you?
At Auto Express? Obviously, so it's a long day. They're 9 to 8 days, so it's definitely I'm in for the long haul. I usually like to get in a little bit early. I get in there around 8:30. Kind of start my day. I get a morning cup of coffee. You got to. Basically, though, my day to day is checking my emails, making contacts to customers, text messaging back and forth. Obviously, that's where you're going to try to drum up a lot of business that's not on the lot, not walk-ins that come in and looking for a car, but maybe customers that you had a few weeks ago that maybe didn't make up their mind, or maybe it wasn't the right time for them. Always kind of reaching out and just trying to engage them again, even if it's not just to try to sell them a car today. It's just, "Hey, I'm still here. You know what I mean? If you guys need something, questions, I'm always here for you." And that goes with my customers that I've sold as well. So usually every day I try to reach out to probably 20 or 30 customers that I had sold previously, just reaching out, "How's the car treating you? Is there any questions, any service stuff that you guys need?" So a lot of that. And then of course, when a customer is on the lot, that's when it gets really fun and exciting. And then you really kind of boots to the ground and try to sell a car. So
Awesome. Now, do you have any deals going on that you could tell our buddies about today?
yeah, for sure. So obviously at Auto Express Mazda, we do the new cars. We also do used vehicles as well. So as far as the used vehicles, what I can tell you, and I'm sure, again, you've heard Joe talk about it on the radio, everything is below market value. So like, what does that mean? A lot of people ask me. What that means is, generally speaking, we are selling these vehicles below the book value that the banks say that we're allowed to sell them for. So you're right off the rip getting a great deal. On the used car side. Now, on the new car side, of course, we have some incentives this month. We have a lot of leasing deals for our Mazdas. So a Mazda CX-30 is going to be $299 a month for a lease for 30 months. I know it's a car payment under $300 for a brand new vehicle. You can't beat it. A CX-5, which is a little bit larger, that's kind of more your traditional size SUV, is only $369 a month. CX-9, a third row vehicle. So if you got a bigger family, $489 lease. And then a Mazda 3, which is your traditional sedan, a $339 lease. And that does come in all-wheel drive as well, which is kind of a fantastic option to present. You don't see too many sedans with all-wheel drive. And then, of course, finally, for our financing specials, we do have 2.9% for 36 months, 3.9% for 63 months, and 4.9% for 72 months. So very competitive interest rates right now.
Love it. Love it. You mentioned one of my favorite vehicles that's actually coming in today.
Yes, it is.
Let's talk about the CX-30. What do you love about the CX-30?
All right. So I like the CX-30 as far as space is concerned. So I actually owned a CX-30 just a couple months ago. I leased it. I did turn it in and ended up getting a Toyota Tacoma because you always have to have at least one truck in the family. But I did love that vehicle. As far as space is concerned, it's a really nice middleman between a Mazda 3, which again, traditional sedan, and a CX-5. So they do consider that a crossover vehicle. So you definitely get the space for, hauling something, groceries, of course, even if you have, children, something like that in the back. It's definitely big enough for all that, but still small enough to have that kind of zippy feel to it. It definitely gets up and goes. It is a 2.5 4-cylinder engine, which doesn't sound that amazing. You know what I mean? It's not, turboed or anything like that, though you can get it in that. But for how much they weigh, you do get a very fun and exciting ride with the Mazdas.
Nice.
So, yeah.
What about some bells and whistles that you love about it?
Yeah, so bells and whistles. So this is the best thing about Mazda. Every single safety feature on Mazda is all standard across the board now, which is great. So I've always said you don't have to pay for the stuff that you need. You're only paying for the stuff that you want. So if you want heated seats, you want sunroof, that's the extras. But if obviously you're going to need collision avoidance system, all-wheel drive, backup camera, lane keep assist, lane detection warning, all that standard now, which is great. And again, those bells and whistles, Mazda is definitely a premium brand at a pretty competitive price too. So Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, standard in every single vehicle. Again, backup camera, standard in every vehicle. Collision avoidance system, which I think is a fantastic use of technology there. If you're about to rear end a vehicle, it'll actually apply the brakes and stop the accident from happening. So I think Mazda did a really good job in the last few years to kind of stand out above the crowd for sure with some of those bells and whistles.
Absolutely. What about, Erie Winter? We just mentioned it before. It's coming up. It's coming, whether we like it or not, here it comes. The CX-30 is obviously a great one for the winter. What other vehicles would you recommend for someone for an Erie Winter?
So any of the CX models are all-wheel drive now. So CX-30, a CX-5, and a CX-9 are all great options. Again, those are standard all-wheel drive vehicles. The Mazda 3 can come in all-wheel drive. Obviously, it is a front-wheel drive option and an all-wheel. But the way the all-wheel drive system works across the board is very, very slick. Some cars will have a dial inside the vehicle that says, I'm on ice, I'm on sand, I'm on snow. You have to think about putting that vehicle in that four-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive mode. And generally speaking, by the time you think about it, it's probably too late. You probably should have turned it on 45 seconds ago, So the way the Mazda works is there is 27 sensors that are checking 200 times a second when to apply the all-wheel drive system. And it's not going to turn it on when it's like a tire slipping. It's going to turn it on when there's danger of a tire slipping. So even before the actual slippage happens. And of course, when it doesn't need it, it's going to be front wheel drive bias. So it's going to be 80% in the front, 20% in the back, which really helps with fuel economy as well. So,
wow, that is awesome. Now, speaking of winter, speaking of the holidays that are coming up, you obviously had a busy Black Friday. Do you see an increase in sales during the holidays, or what would be considered a holiday sale time for you? When you see the most increase in sales.
Sure. You know what? It's funny. It's really hit and miss sometimes. Like you had mentioned, Black Friday, that was honestly one of our busiest days this month that we've had. And I think Joe did a really great job advertising our specials and our Black Friday deals. And I think that was a big part of it. Of course, Christmas around the corner, you get some traffic based on that. There are some people that buy cars for Christmas presents, which still baffles me sometimes, but hey. But during the Christmas time, it is generally a little bit slower, and that's kind of goes for the winter in general. I get it. Not a lot of people like to buy the vehicles during the winter and get them snowy and all that kind of fun stuff. It's not a fun shopping experience coming out in the winter either. But things like President's Day, you wouldn't imagine that being a really busy holiday. For whatever reason, it's incredibly busy for us that day. So it kind of is this really hit and miss thing. It depends on what the holiday is and what the weather is like too. I mean, Erie is very dictated by the weather for sure. You know what I mean? You get a nice day in the middle of November. Guess what? You probably ain't going to see anybody because that's probably the last nice day we're going to get, And then again, if it's a really crappy day, but if it's been a crappy day for 2 weeks, nobody cares at that point. So it is pretty funny how it's hit and miss like that.
Exactly. A follow-up question that came to my mind. I didn't send this to
Yeah.
you earlier,
Yeah,
but
sounds good.
what about have you ever been to the Erie Auto Show to help promote sales and anything like that? Have you ever attended any of those or helped out with anything
I
like that?
personally have not. I
Mhm.
know Mazda does present their vehicles there for the last few years now. Last year, I was actually working up in the used car department. I do flip flop back and forth between
Mhm.
used and new just to kind of give myself opportunity on both ends. So,
Mhm.
of course, when the show was going on, I was in the used car department. So, I did not, unfortunately, get to go to the auto show, but we absolutely do. And I definitely encourage any of the viewers to come check it out. At least sit in a Mazda. I'm going to tell you, it is a world of a difference than other vehicles you've ever sat in before.
It is. It truly is. So that brings my next question. Okay, used vehicles. I'm coming
Yeah,
in today to
yeah,
sell you. I mean, I've already sold it to you, but I'm hypothetically coming in to sell you my car today,
yeah,
or at least to get a quote or something like that. How do you
sure.
assess the vehicle? How do you determine what my vehicle is worth?
Yeah. So if you're going to trade in a vehicle, whether it be used car, being towards a new car, the process obviously is going to be the same. So generally, the salesmen don't usually go too in depth with the evaluation. Usually, we leave that up to our higher ups and our senior managers and things like that. But what I can tell you is that we do use multiple sources to come up with a value for the vehicle. So it's not just like we're going to pull one number. We're not going to just pull Kelly Blue Book. We're not going to just pull Carfax. We're not going to just pull NADA. We're going to pull all three and really just kind of average them out. Of course, things like mileage, damage to a vehicle, or non-damage to a vehicle or low miles, all that kind of goes into the effect of the value of the vehicle. But again, using all those sources is a really good way because sometimes you'll see, Kelly Blue Book, for example, very high on the trade-in value sometimes. But then you have something else that kind of evens it out. So NADA, which is what the banks use to value cars, that'll maybe be a little bit lower, which kind of brings it to a more realistic level, or an average, I guess I would say, for a trade-in. So we are very, very fair when it comes into trade-ins. Again, we're not the business that's trying to steal your trade-in or anything like that. Obviously, we want you to do business again with us, and the only way to do that is to do it the right way. So.
Awesome. Now, for our buddies out there who
Yeah.
are in the Erie area or want to learn more about you, want to get in touch with you because, hey, we're looking for a new vehicle or
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
just starting to think about the process, something that early. How can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can view our website. You can set appointments there to meet with the sales staff, put in leads, things like that. You can obviously always call. Phone number is going to be 814-868-2525 will be the dealership number. And you can just ask for me directly. My name is Patrick. There's actually 4 of us that work there. So my last name is Carden, Carden. I do go by PC as well, just to kind of eliminate some of the confusion there when you call. So.
Mm-hmm. I learned that the fun way, buddies. I learned that when trying to call him during my lunch hour. Hi, I'm looking for Patrick. Okay, we have about 4 Patricks. And I had your business, like I mentioned, I had your business card at home. So I'm like,
Yep.
the guy with the man bun, the guy with the long hair. And they're like, oh yeah, that's Card.
Yes, you can say that too. Yeah, hey, can I just talk to the guy with the long hair? I'm the only one there, so.
That's what I use for my sales. I'm like, hey, my name's Nick. When I say, just remember Nick next time you come in. You can't remember Nick, ask for the little guy. They'll know who you're talking about.
You know who you're talking about, exactly.
Yeah. So, and it gets them it's funny because it gets them to laugh. Like they have that little chuckle. Every customer I've told that to, so I had a little chuckle, like like that's easy. Yeah, we'll definitely remember
You just
that.
gotta make an impression, yeah. And I'm gonna tell you, that's half the battle, just having fun. A lot of people think, I mean, in sales in general, and your side of it, and my side of it, sometimes I think people take it a little too seriously. Let's have fun. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to make this a more enjoyable experience than what it generally is. Because I get it. Nobody loves buying a car. It's not the most fun thing in the world. But, if you have a good salesman, we do try to make it fun and, hang out.
It's adulting. It's like buying furniture. Yeah, you're buying a new couch, but you'd rather, most people would rather be at lunch right now or something like that. Most people
Absolutely. Much rather go to the movies, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you reminded me, and I love saying this on the show. Have you ever seen the TV show Cobra Kai?
I have not.
Oh man, you got to watch it. There's a saying in there that says, "Man who works for passion is far richer than man who works for money."
Absolutely. Yeah. I love
Thank
that.
you for exemplifying that today.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Alrighty. I got 2 more questions for you. The first one is brought to us by my buddy Jonas Kane at #Positivity, who wants to know, in your own words, what does it mean to be someone's buddy?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I think a good buddy, right, is somebody that you can sit in the same room with for 2 hours, not say a word, but be totally comfortable in that situation. Just hanging out, enjoying each other's company. And again, not having to speak and just kind of enjoy and embrace the moment. You know what I mean?
Love it.
And somebody that will watch the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy with you. Of course, extended editions.
That is awesome. Truly, truly awesome. And you're right, buddies like hanging out with each other, enjoying what they like to enjoy mutually, and at the same time can just spend a day at the bar with you or something, not say a single word, but then that moment at the bar was one of the most meaningful moments of your day.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, buddy, the final question I have for you today is what we call the ultimate Buddycast buddy question. You ready for this one?
Ooh, I don't know if I am, but let's go for it.
What is your advice to anyone who wants to be a salesman, specifically a car salesman?
Okay. Be prepared for the long hours. Mm-hmm. It's not a short job by any means. You're there a long time. Be prepared to work solely on commission. That is a scary thing sometimes, not knowing for sure that you're going to get paid that day, because if you don't sell a car, you didn't get paid. But I guess all in all, at the end of the day, it's just have fun with it. That's it. As long as you're having fun, your customers are having fun, your coworker is going to have fun, and it makes it incredibly easy and incredibly fun to do.
It's all about having fun. You're absolutely right.
That's it.
A fun day at the office. That's all you need. Well, buddy, thank you so much for
You're very welcome.
my new vehicle, and B, for being a buddy here on Buddycast. You're welcome back anytime. I hope you know that.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yes. And I have one favor to ask you before we close out the show. Whatever you do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, even next year, please go be someone's buddy.
Absolutely.
For all my buddies out there, this is my buddy Patrick at Auto Express Mazda here in Erie, PA. See how he can help you find your car needs today. I'm your host, Nick Sorensen. Thank you for joining us on another wonderful episode of Buddycast. We'll see you here next time on everybody's favorite show, Buddycast.
Well, the days are going fast. Buddy, we've got to make them last. Buddy, before they've all gone past. Buddy, tune in to Buddycast. Don't feel like it could make it, buddy, here on Buddycast.